Namaste, everyone, and welcome back. So, yoga and cacao. I am coming up on just 2 years since cacao has entered my life and then began to support my own personal yoga practice. So, in today's video, I want to touch a little on what is cacao, why it supports our practice, why I chose to practice with cacao, and some of my favorite practices while I sip. So, if you are new here, I am Stephanie. I am a virtual yoga teacher, a cacao ceremony facilitator, and I help moms find time for self-care using the practices of yoga and cacao. So we're gonna dive in, break it down, and welcome. So what is cacao? I did do an earlier video on this. So in the description, you can go take a look at that video where I go a little bit more in detail, making some comparisons of ceremonial grade cacao, which we'll talk about today, versus cacao, but I kind of get into it there and go a little more in depth. So you can take that video and take a look to see if it maybe will answer some of the questions I don't answer today. But what is cacao and how does it support our practice? So cacao, ceremonial grade cacao, which is what I am talking about today, is cacao that is grown in specific regions. So her birthplace is Guatemala, and the cacao that I purchase comes from this area. So if you are getting ceremonial cacao from Guatemala, chances are you're getting a really, really beautiful product. So ceremonial grade cacao has a lot of spiritual energies and properties, but she also has a lot of physical properties. She's really nourishing and healthy for the body. And a lot of those physical properties are very, very supportive of a yoga practice. She thrives in breath work because she's a circulatory stimulant. Cacao does beautiful in movement. Of course, our yoga practice, our movement practices, very beneficial for that. She contains magnesium, so it really supports flexibility in our muscles, but also that relaxation that we need that kind of come over the body. So supportive of meditation. She's very, very heart connective. So she activates our heart chakras, allowing us to really connect to our needs. So a beautiful addition to a meditation practice. So why have I chosen to practice with cacao and in turn bring that practice to you? Well, when I became a yoga teacher about almost 2.5 years ago, I was really feeling kind of lost. I didn't really feel connected to what I was teaching, and my personal practice really began to suffer, and I knew I wanted to go deeper. There was something more, I just didn't know what it was. And that is when cacao began to, oddly enough, show up on social media. My social media posts and stories from a local teacher that I was following. She was offering a course. I was really smitten and drawn in, and I really felt like this might be something that can support my students better. And I didn't realize how much it was going to support me in the long run. That was the true reason why I was pulled in. So cacao definitely shows up in your life when you are ready. So if you are here watching this, if you stumbled on any of my cacao videos, there's definitely a reason behind that. There is a pull from her and something deeper deeper message that she's wanting you to hear. So definitely stay tuned as we dive in, and I'll let you know at the end how you can reach out to see if this is something that you want to bring into your heart and your home. And I then began to just kind of slip into that space once I began to sip cacao in my practice, and I just knew these two need to come together. This is my calling. This is where it is about to go. This is the road I'm headed down. So not only in my meditation and movement yoga classes that are held virtually, I really encourage those who are participating to think about bringing it into their homes to support their practices. I bring it on my end here when I teach, and really encourage those to keep an open mind and heart if they do not sip cacao or use cacao on their own. So it's definitely something that can be done even in virtual spaces. If you are local to me in my state, I offer in-person cacao ceremonies, and we definitely touch on yoga practices during my ceremonies, as it's what I do, and it's a big part of my own personal life. So touching on and getting a sense of what it feels like while you sip to do a breathwork practice, to do a movement and meditation practice to really feel that deeper connection. So let's get into some of my favorite practices to do while I sip my cacao. So we're first going to start with a breathwork practice. So breathwork is a yoga practice of controlling the breath, brings a lot of mindfulness and relaxation to the body. And cacao is a circulatory stimulant. So she gets that heart pumping, all that blood flowing through, and it is definitely supported by focusing your mind and your attention on your breath. So while we sip, we can move into a breathwork practice. So one of my favorite practices is a really simple one and can be done here right now if you want to practice it with me. So you're going to sit tall in a breathwork practice. You're going to have a spine straight, neck straight. You can even do this lying down. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to sit up. So it's really simple. You place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And I just close my eyes for a minute. And I don't really focus too much in the beginning about controlling the breath. I just kind of create that connection between my heart, feeling the heartbeat against my hand, feeling my belly rise and fall on my other hand. And then I'll just take a nice deep breath in, expanding the chest, the belly, the rib cage. And then letting it out, feeling everything soften and relax. Inhalation again. Letting it out. One more time, breathing in. And let it go. And I'll just do a few rounds of those till I feeling much calmer and connected to my body and my breath. And then I move into movement. So I'm going to touch on some of my favorite ones to do. So oftentimes in my classes and in my own personal practice, I always start seated position. So we start there by activating our spine. Our spine is kind of our energy source that controls our nervous system, where everything kind of runs through. So I like to start there. So I'll do some gentle twists. So I'll twist to my right first by placing my left hand on my right knee. And the right hand is just behind me. I inhale my chest up, and I exhale, and I gently twist from the core and set my gaze where it feels comfortable, oftentimes over my right shoulder. And I just take a couple breaths here. And then I come back to the center, and I switch sides. So the right hand comes to the left knee. That left arm comes behind me. I inhale. I exhale, and I gently twist. Gaze over my left shoulder, just gentle breaths here. Good, and I'll do that for a few times. So my other favorite one is torso circles. So basically you're going to inhale, then exhale as you bring the chest forward. Inhalation as you roll back. Just flowing through that breath, feeling all those cracks and the pops in the spine. You can even get the head involved, roll the head around, and then you're going to switch sides. Now, of course, when you sip cacao, you can go on a hike, you can go for a walk, you can dance. She just literally loves movement. Cacao is a high energy source. So unlike caffeine, which you get that build and then that crash, cacao, you sustain your energy. So she contains theobroma, which is longer lasting. It's very similar to caffeine, but yet without the crash. So it kind of hangs out in the liver a little bit, slowly releases throughout the day. She can enhance creativity. So if you have a creative project, she can really bring that out and alive in you. And you have a lot of that energy that you want to move and just express yourself through movement. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a yoga practice. Sometimes I hop into a little dance routine or get outside for a nice hike. So those are two of my favorites while I'm in a seated position. And then, of course, I'm feeling that energy flowing. I want to move. I want to get up. So I enjoy a child's pose. So with the child's pose, you bring your big toes to touch and you spread your knees nice and wide. And then you just bring that belly and that forehead down to the ground. Arms out in front of you. Breathing in through the nose. Letting it go. Inhalation and exhalations. Here is where I like to connect to tension that I hold in my body and in my mind. Just releasing here. Good. And then I come up to a tabletop position and I work on my cat and cows. These are my favorites. They always show their faces in my yoga classes. So with a cat and cow, you want to come to a tabletop so your wrists and your knees are stacked underneath the hips and the shoulders. You get a nice flat back. With your cat and cows, you're going to inhale, look up towards the sky, drop the belly towards the ground. Good. And then exhaling, raising the back towards the ceiling, looking towards your heart. Inhalation, looking up. Exhalation, looking towards your heart. And I do these slowly, mindfully. And it feels oh so good. Good. And I will do as many of those as feels really, really good in my body. So those are generally the practices that I really enjoy and the practices that you will see if you join in my meditation and movement yoga classes. These are held in virtual spaces, so no matter where you are at in the world, no matter where you are at in your journey with yoga, I really invite you to join in on those month to month. We have a fresh batch of classes coming in April, but we run them every month in a private Facebook group, and all are welcome to join in those. And I encourage you to keep an open mind to bring cacao maybe into those spaces. Now, if you're also watching this and cacao's really calling you, you're feeling like you want to know a little more, how you can contact me can be found in the description below. Be more than happy to chat. Even if you don't live locally to me, we can absolutely set up space and time to talk about cacao and how it could be a support for you in your life. Whether that is you joining me in class or whether you want to begin that relationship at home in your own self-care practices that you already have established. Maybe you're wanting to go deeper. So all of my social media accounts can be found there. If you really enjoyed this video, of course, give it a like, subscribe. I have new videos coming out every Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And I really, really appreciate your support and following along, listening along. So that is it for today. I hope you have a fabulous day, and we'll see you next week. Bye.